So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you to go through another idea, another tip, another trick that's going to help you to be able to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. Now today, I'm going to talk you through my day to get started because you'll understand now why I'm sitting in the car to do this podcast and not at my home in front of the nice light and camera. So today we started at 6 a.m. and we drove an hour to my son's footy so he could play footy down in the country. And so that was the first part of my day. And then we drove from there, that's in Longwarry, which is about an hour from my home. And so he played his game and then we shot up to my daughter's grand final in basketball. And that was at 11:30. So we went straight from the footy to the grand final of basketball in Dandenong. And then we drove from Dandenong to Craigieburn for my other son's football game, which is literally over an hour away up north of the city. And now I'm in a place called Coronella, which is it's 2 hours from Craigieburn. And I've just set up for a gig that I'm playing with my band. And so literally I've had no time at all to do any podcast today, except for right now before the sun goes down. So I've got about 10 minutes. But I wanted to touch base and just check in and go through something that I think is a helpful thought that you can take away from and do something in your life with to help improve where you're at with your weight. Sometimes things don't work out perfectly. Sometimes days are crazy busy. And for me, today is a crazy, insanely busy day, and I'll get home at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning after I've finished my gig tonight, which will be fun. But it puts you in a situation where you've got to make the best choices that you possibly can. I was just talking to my friend on the way here who's trying to eat really, really well. And he was out today at a farmer's thing looking at stuff out in the country. And he said, Baron, I was walking around, there was food trucks everywhere. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to eat? There's no real options. But here's the thing. Just because it's a challenging day, just because it's busy, just because life is just tough, doesn't mean we have to make terrible choices about our food. We really don't. Now, this guy, he said to me, what am I going to eat? Now, this is the same guy that coined the phrase that I really love. He said, a good of a bad. So he went, all right, I'm here, I'm looking at these food trucks, and these food trucks are not the healthiest of food. So he went and looked at this one place who did like a brisket and other things like that. And he said, look, can I get some meat and some coleslaw with no breads and no potatoes and no chips and that type of thing. And so that's what he got. He just got that on a plate, and so he had good things to choose from. Now, he wasn't prepared today. Now, sometimes we're going to find ourselves not prepared. Sometimes we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we are literally at 3 or 4 different places and we don't even get to see any good food anywhere. So we've got to make the best choices that we can. And what I want you to go away with is thinking about a good of a bad. What's your good of a bad that you have to do in some situations? Now, my mate, he went away and got this food that was as clean as he possibly could get in the circumstances that it was in. Big tick from me. Because it's easy in those situations to dive into a hot dog or, chips and eat wedges and nachos and whatever else. But he didn't. And he made the best decision that he could in the situation that he was in, and probably got a bottle of water to go along with it. And we're just chatting about that. And I want you to think about your good of a bad situations that you've got to find yourself in. Now, and couple that with, hey, life is crazy sometimes. It's full on, it's busy, and we can't always have the perfect set of circumstances. In fact, not always. We'll almost never have the perfect set of circumstances to be eating the perfect food all the time. It just won't happen. We'll find ourselves in situations where we are insanely busy, where life just happens to us, where we feel like there's no way you can even find anything that's healthy. But you've got to do the best in that situation. You don't just default and go back to your Pepsi Max or go back to your a can of Coke or go back to the chips and the dip that's there. You've got to find, there's little diamonds in the rough that you can find. And my mate's a good example of that today. So I want you to think about that. When life gets busy, when life gets hectic, when life is like, man, this is too much. I can't do this anymore. I can't possibly eat well. You can. You can. And when you do, you feel so much better for it because you choose the good of the bad options that you've possibly got. So I want you to reflect on your past week. When you're eating well and when you weren't eating so well. You know the times. You know, if you're not deliberately on a plan, you're going to have times where you're eating really good and times where you're not eating so well. And I want you to think about, what did I do? What could I have done better in that situation? So maybe you went for the pizza. Maybe you went for the chips. Maybe you went for something else, the chocolate or what, maybe because you're like, there's nothing else. But really, was there nothing else? Was there something there that you could have chosen or pared back? Could you have deconstructed a sandwich that was there? Could you have taken all the good bits out of the sandwich? Could you have found something good in the place that you were at? I challenge you that I think you could. I think you could have done it. And I think next time you maybe can. So there's the challenge for Go Away With today. Just a short message today because literally I'm about to lose sunlight and I don't have any more time. So just go away with a good or a bad. Let's make the best decisions in the situations that we find ourselves in, no matter what. You got this. We'll chat soon.